just a movie. It's the, that's.
I think it was something taken literally directly from World Wrestling.
Yeah, but when you're talking about the presidency of the United States and the political situation, I mean, let's act like adults. Be nice to do it.
I didn't see it live. I certainly know what we're talking about. I did hear people who were in the room in the convention center who said it was kind of an electric moment. Mm-hmm. So at least if one of the challenges in a convention is always to get people to shut up, pay attention to what's going on up on the podium. We've all been to conventions. We've seen that, experienced it. There's conversation. There's this and that. So it was a big moment. Now it was I think a little too theatrical, a little too big a moment. And then of course once again, it's "We Are the Champions," which is a Queen song. Freddie Mercury wrote it and sang it. He died of AIDS.
A fabulous Queen song.
And so that prompts a whole other series of things. What's Donald Trump doing with his Queen song? And then Queen comes out and says they have no permission to use our music.
Yeah. I thought at best you could say it was too theatrical in a place that where obviously you want some theater, but you don't want. It was like a rock star making his entrance at a concert.
It was poorly done. It really was.
I mean, if they'd had some real stars there, like Trump had promised we would have.
Well, we had Chachi. I refuse to sit by and let you demean Chachi. From Happy Days to Joni Loves Chachi to Charles in Charge. Scott Baio, I thought, brought the star quality that we haven't seen. You need to get to the Oscars to see that level of star quality.
We are learning all about Dan, about Dan's favorite stars, and I had always been trying to figure out Chachi. Where's the appeal? Dan loves his Chachi.
Dan loves his Chachi.
Joni loves Chachi. I really thought he did a good job. No, but
we are really getting deep in.
No, but so in all seriousness,
we're going as deep as the topic will permit us.
Yeah. So I tuned in at prime time. So the vote theatrics and just for those who are listening in, both Justin Russell and Admiral Ken Carradine are actually at the convention. They are posting blogs as well as video to YouTube, and also are reporting live on Sidewire as well from the convention. So they had reported that people actually stormed out after the voice vote of, as Alan correctly pointed out, they went through the process correctly and then were promptly ignored by the chair, which left some bad blood along the way. But once you tuned into prime time, just a remarkable list of people, and I mean remarkable not necessarily in a good way. Willie Robertson, for those of you who don't know, he's from Duck Dynasty. And he brought the
I don't even know what Duck Dynasty is.
Neither do I.
So Duck Dynasty is a show of guys who make duck calls, and they turn it into a multi-million-dollar business, and have a reality show about them living their lives, and conveniently also grew beards because it was not necessarily their original MO, but it made for better television. But it is reality television. It is the reality that people seem to like.
It just for the benefit of those who have not had the opportunity to watch the show, and it's a regular show, and it's remarkably popular in some parts of the country and among certain people. It's a family of Southerners. They make duck calls, but they also hunt ducks. Now that they've been and they all have these long beards, and it turns out that because they're famous, it's like, wait, is there an echo of Donald Trump here? Because they're famous from a TV reality show, people might care what they say about issues of the day. So they actually show up in weird places to express their opinions. And in the search for somebody that had any kind of fame to come to the convention, as they kept digging deeper and deeper and came up with, with Dan's personal favorite, Chachi, and some daytime soap opera guy, Savatos. I don't even know.
Also an underwear model. We'll get to the underwear model in a little bit.
No. We got
Dan and his Chachi and underwear models. I mean, he is the guy in the know.
Did he appear in underwear?
He did not appear in underwear.
Oh.
He
appeared nude?
He did not appear nude.
Okay.
His speech. So he's an Italian immigrant. He is also an underwear model and is also a daytime soap star. And there's a recurring theme in the speeches of the evening, and I simply refer to it as "Be afraid, be very afraid" for all of the speeches. But before you get too excited about my responses. Governor Rick Perry, former governor of Texas, spoke, and he introduced Mark Luttrell, a former Navy SEAL, and who I believe was the lone survivor that the movie was made out of, about Afghanistan team of Navy SEALs that most of which lost their lives. He was the only one that made it out. But when Governor Perry introduced this Navy SEAL, he referred to him as, quote, a tall drink of water, which I thought was an unusual thing for Governor Perry to have said. But Alan?
Oh, I've heard the phrase before, so it's a little odd, but it wasn't that
But it's
strange.
not demeaning. I mean, he's a kind of a tall,
Well,
skinny
you're a
guy.
tall drink of water.
Yeah, he's a kind of a tall, skinny guy.
I thought and I did not watch all of these pygmies that they had in between, but the.
So you did not watch the underwear model?
I did not watch the underwear model. Otherwise, I would have known whether he was.
The underwear model, who promptly after he came off of stage, he gave a pretty basic speech about being an immigrant and seeing socialism in Europe and not wanting socialism in the United States, and a basically bland speech that played to the room. But promptly after he came off of the stage, immediately said, "Barack Obama isn't a Christian; he's with the Muslims."
Yeah.
Well,
That's how.
Speaking of, that has this bigoted hint to it, but I just don't know whether we should be calling Al out for what sounded to me like a racist comment when he referred to people as pygmies. I don't know. It's just a question that can linger in the air with the smoke.
little people.
Short people.
What I was going to say when I did that terrible transgression was that there was only one speech that I think that you would expect to find at a convention, and that was Giuliani's speech. He was there to fire the audience up. He did that. I hated the speech, but then I'm a Republican, and I think a lot of Republicans
only in your dreams, Al. Are you a Republican?
Oh, really?
You said you're a Republican.
Those are nightmares.
All those years in office, I thought you were a Democrat.
You misspoke, but I was embracing it.
Did I say I?
You said, but I'm a Republican. That's what you said.
You said it. You said you were.
Oh, I'm a Republican. Well, I'm losing my mind.
But you know what? You're fun.
The point I was going to make was that out of a whole long period when they're setting themselves up, they have one person of sufficient stature, and he's passé to be sure, but he's still sufficient stature, who delivered a good speech.
A stem winder that apparently also got the audience charged up.
Right.
And Senator Tom Cotton gave a creditable speech as well. A much more
I would
personal,
agree.
I liked his
speech.
Tom Cotton's speech was what you would expect for a convention, especially for a rising star. I'm not a Tom Cotton fan by any stretch of the imagination. I think he's a political grandstander. However, the speech he gave at the convention, I think, was the closest thing that you could expect, or not should expect, but the closest thing you got to actually reaching out beyond just the rabid fans in the room. Giuliani's speech, and this is part of what I thought the theme was, and feel free to disagree with me, that throughout the night, aside from Melania's speech, which was kind of feel-good, everything else was be afraid, be very, very afraid. At one point, Joni Ernst, who was, by the way, pushed out of prime time to make sure that that Duck Dynasty, the underwear model, and Chachi all had primetime
Well,
slots.
no, yeah, but it was Flynn. It was who went on and on.
Well, Lieutenant General Flynn, who also he spoke on lengthy as well, but and continued the "Be afraid, be very afraid" theme throughout the night. That there is ISIS coming out of every corner. Joni Ernst literally said ISIS is in all 50 states. So D.C. apparently we are safe from ISIS here. No ISIS in D.C.
We're not a state.
We're surrounded. Maryland and Virginia, come on.
No, but to that point, was there anything said that would get to garner support beyond that which are already involved from the choir? Alan Moore, was there anything there that might reach out?
Here's the problem. People watch. They watch with different levels of interest. They tune in. They tune out. They go out of the room. They come back. They're not worried about missing something. They may have a curiosity about certain people, like Mrs. Trump. And then, if there's nothing electric at the time, and Giuliani's speech was the one that most charged people up.
Why did it charge people up?
Well, just he gave an impassioned, arm waving,
red meat,
kind of a speech. It partly was who he was and his history in New York. And
he also
9/11
said there were no
and the
terrorist
aftermath.
attacks during George Bush's presidency, forgetting about 9/11, of course.
Well, so I mean,
very angry.
I mean, it's like after that, but the problem. I mean, people don't tend to remember individual content. The problem about yesterday was that in the aftermath of what we started out talking about and the obvious plagiarized sentences which were denied, which extended the life, that became the memorable content from the night rather than, gee, it was nice to meet her and she did a nice job, or make fun of Trump's entrance, or Giuliani got him charged up, or gosh, Tom Cotton, that was a sensitive, broad-based speech. It's all about Trump's entrance and then Melania.
Yeah.
And the poor woman was very very poorly served
Yeah, she was.
by the staff, and we'll find out. Here's the thing:
The staff may have just been her husband.
This morning, people are saying somebody's got to be fired, and
haven't got anybody left to fight.
and then Corey Lewandowski, the one-time campaign manager who was summarily dismissed at one point when it was time to pivot to the general election. He helpfully this morning said that he thought Manafort should be fired. It's like thanks. And actually, Manafort probably said, "Thanks, Corey. That helps me."
Yeah.
But
Probably does.
here's the thing. So, it may be that there was some massive screw up, and you can just say that person who we can afford to lose needs to go. You can reassign people. But here's my question. It sounds to me like every member of the Trump family has a handler who's part of this inner circle. It's like your assignment is this son, this daughter. Melania Trump is the one, as any wife normally would be, who they want to most protect. I was listening to commentary about people who've worked on other campaigns said the time that the boss, the candidate, was the most nervous was when his wife had some role, some responsibility. Then the nerves went crazy because the person in the arena is used to the give and take, takes shots, gives speeches, and apparently so the reporting went, Mrs. Trump really didn't want to do a speech, but they prevailed on her to.